It is the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the Bills Committee on Statute Law Miscellaneous Provisions Bill 2025. First of all, we will now invite the administration to come in. Now on the matters to be followed up from the last meeting, the written reply of the administration to the 3 public submissions have been uploaded onto the Legical's website. And also concerning the letter sent by the legal advisor, dated the 9th of May 2025, CP brackets 2878 2025-01, the administration has submitted a written reply, that is CP brackets 2 1146 2025-01. The administration will explain the relevant replies when we have come to the relevant clauses. Concerning the matters which we have discussed as the previous meeting requiring following up, that's paper CP brackets 21164 2025 brackets 01. Just now before the meeting, the administration has submitted a written reply, CP brackets 21164 2025 02. The Secretariat has circulated the documents via email. Now I will invite Mr. Wesley Wong, Secretary of the Law Reform Commission of Hong Kong, to brief us on the reply. Or Mr. Lee. Thank you, Chair. Concerning the follow-up matters from the previous meeting, we have submitted a reply before the meeting. Now there are 2 parts to the reply. First of all, the numbering of the items. I will invite Mr. Choi from the Law Drafting Division to walk us through the reply on the individual items. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now, since there is a wide range of matters involved, now the drafting legislation in Hong Kong, a guide to styles and practices, does not provide for a fixed rule on the listing of contents in schedules. So the approach to be taken as regards listing of different contents in schedules may vary in view of the circumstances of the case in question. Please move on to Part 2. Thank you, Chair. Concerning Part 2 of the reply, in relation to the Securities and Futures Ordinance, Cap 571, and the subsidiary legislation, I will invite Mr. Chan from the FSTB, Winston Chan, to walk us through the reply. Thank you. Thank you, members, for your views raised on the last occasion. Part 55, Section 55, amending the Cap 571, the word overseas, the Chinese term of overseas is 海外 or 境外. Now, whether this covers mainland China or whether we should replace it with non-Hong Kong place. Now, please refer to our written reply. Overall speaking, all references to overseas, including 海外 or 境外, the meaning is somewhere outside Hong Kong, or people or matters arising from outside Hong Kong. So this does include mainland China and people from the mainland China. Now, overseas may not be accurate, so we propose to amend the overseas to non-Hong Kong and also non-Hong Kong company. Now, this will not affect the implementation of the provisions. The concerning overseas, non-Hong Kong is an appropriate alternative. Most proposed amendments for that section are in relation to terms with the wording overseas. All the words overseas will be changed to non-Hong Kong. Now, non-Hong Kong, the term non-Hong Kong can concisely explain the nature and meaning of the relevant terms. Now, this is also adopted in other similar ordinances. For example, Cap 662, 622, Section 1, and Companies Ordinance concerning definition for non-Hong Kong company. The definition is well understood by the trade. Now, in Part 55, there are some wordings which are not replaced with non-Hong Kong because there would be other more accurate terms to reflect the policy intent and to keep the consistency of the law. Thank you. Any questions in relation to the written reply? Now we can return to the clause-by-clause scrutiny. Ms. Lee, have we covered the entirety of the written reply? Yes, Chair. Thank you. Now let's resume the clause-by-clause scrutiny. I will invite Mr. Terence Lee, Senior Government Counsel, to invite the representatives from the policy bureaus to explain the amendments according to the table. And before explaining the amendments, please tell us the relevant pages of the amendments on the Chinese and English markup copy. And before the close of the previous meeting, we have completed scrutiny of up to 175 of the bill, clause 175. Now we will return to the FSTB's part, clause 176. Please refer to page 6 of the comparison table. That's page 315 of the Chinese markup copy and 329 of the English markup copy. Members may press the button if you have any questions. I will give each member 4 minutes, including questions and answers. If necessary, I will invite the government to give us a written reply on the questions raised. The legal advisor may also ask her question. Mr. Dennis Leung. Chair, in the previous 2 meetings, there were some clauses which are going to repeat themselves. So I hope the Senior Government Counsel may take us through all the relevant clauses at the same time. Thank you. Now we will invite all government representatives to please look through the pages in relation to your amendments and explain them from an overall point of view in an integrated manner. For example, from a certain page to another to a certain page. And then go into details of each individual amendment. Mr. Terence Lee, please begin. Thank you, Chair. Now, this is in relation to Cap 571AN. We invite the FSTB, Mr. Chan, Mr. Winston Chan, to walk us through the changes. Thank you. Part 55, Division 4, clauses 175 to 177, including in relation to securities and future OTC derivative transactions, clearing and record-keeping obligations and designation of essential counterparties, Rule, Cap 571. Please refer to page 314 and also page 328 to 333 of the English version. Clauses 175 to 176, 123. We propose to repeal overseas AFI, overseas AMB, and overseas LC to non-local AFI, non-local AMB, and non-local LC. Now, Cap 571AN, there are the relevant definitions for non-local AMB, AFI, and LC. So we propose to replace overseas with non-local to align with the reference of local. Now, page 318 and 332 of the English version. Cap 176 brackets 4, that's Cap 571AN bracket 6, local total position. We will amend it to we amend overseas AFI to a non-local AFI or any of the books other than the Hong Kong books of the person. Now, 6.6 non-local books, overseas books, that's any of the books other than the Hong Kong books. So we propose to replace it with any of the books other than the Hong Kong books of the person to explain the scope of the term. Finally, page 319 of the Chinese version and 333 of the English markup copy. Section 177, Section 16, brackets 2C. We propose to replace overseas regulators with non-Hong Kong regulators. Thank you. So the amendments are based on the same grounds of the reasons mentioned in the written reply. Thank you. Let's continue. Thank you, Chairman. Chair. Now this is about Securities and Futures Amendment Ordinance 2014, 6 of 2014. Again, Mr. Winston Chan from the FSTB, please. Mr. Chan, thank you. Securities and Futures Amendment Ordinance 2014, 6 of 2014. It's a regulatory framework for over-the-counter derivatives. Now, in the past, it was implemented in phases. Now, the principal ordinance will take effect after the amendments. For Section 53, Schedule 5, regulated activities, there will be amendments. We're adding the relevant definitions for over-the-counter derivative instruments. For example, the definition for acceptable participants. Some acceptable participants are regulated by overseas regulators. So in the new Part 2A, we propose to replace the term comparable overseas jurisdiction to comparable non-Hong Kong jurisdiction. Thank you. So for our benefits, can you take us to the pages on the markup copy? Now that's 328 in the Chinese copy and 342 on the English copy. Yes, please continue. So that's so much for amendments to Part 55. Ms. Lee, thank you, Chair. Now, these are also amendments in relation to the FSTB. Please refer to Part 57 of the bill. Cap 588, Accounting and Financial Reporting Council Ordinance. Now, please turn to page 342 of the Chinese markup copy and 343 of the English markup copy. Again, Mr. Eric Lee Ka-wei from the FSTB. Thank you, Chair.
Let me first give you a brief introduction. The AFRC ordinance is to establish the AFRC Accounting and Financial Reporting Council on their reporting methods as well as their regulation of the relevant professions. Now, this ordinance includes references to overseas entities, which is touched upon in the response of the administration earlier. With Ging Oi, the Chinese reference, it actually includes mainland China. It is not exactly an accurate label that we want to adopt. In order to have a more accurate meaning, we will adopt other expressions. When I get to the specific sections, I'll explain what the changes are specifically. First, on the Chinese marked up copy, page 342, English 343, we will replace overseas entity with non-Hong Kong entity. And in the definition, we will say, in particular, outside Hong Kong, so that it would include mainland China. And then page 344 of the English marked up copy, we will amend the definition of recognized PIE auditor to say, instead of an overseas auditor, a non-Hong Kong auditor. We will see in the following sections a similar change. That is a change in the adjective. And page 346 of the English marked up copy, section 20B, again there is a reference to an overseas auditor, and we will change that to a non-Hong Kong auditor. Page 347 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set B, there are multiple references to auditors, overseas auditors. We will change them to non-Hong Kong auditor, and then overseas entity. Again, we will change those to non-Hong Kong entities. Page 348 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set E, we will amend the references to overseas entity and overseas auditor as we did before. And page 349 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set F, we are making similar changes. There is an additional change. With here, we have an overseas regulatory organization, and we'll change that to a non-Hong Kong regulatory organization. Page 350 of the English marked up copy, 20 set G, we have a reference to overseas auditor. Again, it will be changed to non-Hong Kong auditor. Page 350 of the English marked up copy, still section 20 set H, we will change overseas entity to non-Hong Kong entity, as well as the auditor reference. We will also change that. Page 351 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set I, we again will amend the references to overseas entities and overseas auditors. Page 352 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set J, we will have similar changes. Again, on page 352 of the English marked up copy in section 20 set K, we will amend the reference to overseas entity. Page 353 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set O, we're making a change to the reference to an overseas entity. Page 354 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set R, amending the reference to overseas entity. Page 355 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set as, amending references to overseas auditors and overseas entities. Page 356 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set U, similar changes. Page 357 of the English marked up copy, section 20 set V, again a change to the reference of overseas entity. That's it for the changes to this part. Mr. Terence Lee, thank you. We have more amendments with the FSTB. I will ask members to refer to Part 68, repeal of certain enactments. Please refer to page 429 of the Chinese marked up copy, page 444 of the English marked up copy. I will ask Mr. Fan from the FSTB to brief members on the amendments. Thank you. I will draw members' attention to the changes starting from page 429 of the Chinese marked-up copy. We will repeal the relevant certain amendments, that is Census and Statistics 1996 Population Census Order. I will first go through the Chinese pages and then we'll go through the English pages. Pages 429 to 432 of the Chinese marked-up copy, Chapter 316p, as I said earlier, the order, and again on the Chinese marked-up copy, pages 433 to 439, Census and Statistics 2001 Population Census Order, Chapter 316s, and then we have pages 440 to 446 in the Chinese marked-up copy, Chapter 316U, Census and Statistics 2006 Population Census Order, pages 447 to 452 of the Chinese marked-up copy, Chapter 316X, Census and Statistics 2011 Population Census Order, pages 453 to 459, Chapter 316Y, Census and Statistics 2016 Population Census Order. Lastly, pages 460 to 466, Chapter 316 said Census and Statistics 2021 Population Census Order. As for the English ones, we are again repealing the relevant enactment. So on the English marked-up, in the English marked-up copy, pages 444 to 447, Census and Statistics 1996 Population Census Order, pages 448 to 454, Census and Statistics 2001 Population Census Order, pages 455 to 461, Census and Statistics 2006 Population Census Order, pages 462 to 467, Census and Statistics 2011 Population Census Order, pages 468 to 474, Census and Statistics 2016 Population Census Order. Lastly, pages 475 to 481, Census and Statistics 2021 Population Census Order. These enactments would have, for the respective years, at 5-year intervals, establish the legislative framework for the censuses. These are one-off orders, and these should have been repealed when the censuses were done. So we are now repealing the relevant enactments. All right, please move on. Thank you. We have now for the Chief Secretary for Administration's Office, the relevant ordinance, Part 9, Recognition of Trusts Ordinance, Chapter 76. Please refer to page 24 of the Chinese marked-up copy. For the English marked-up copy, page 27. I'll ask Mr. Jie from the office to speak on the amendments. Thank you. There are some amendments to Recognition of Trust Ordinance, Chapter 76. These are technical amendments and therefore adaptation purposes only. They are for the Convention on the Law of applicable to trusts and on their recognition done at The Hague. They are to be made applicable in Hong Kong. The convention is only in English and French. There is no certified translation of the convention in Chinese. Right now in section 2 brackets 2, it says if there are discrepancies between the Chinese and English text, the text in English should prevail. But this is not exactly accurate because the text in Chinese is not exactly an certified translation of the convention, so we have sought legal advice on this. Like other laws that have conventions made applicable to Hong Kong, we are going to adopt the drafting in these other pieces of legislation, and we have put them here. So we will add first section 1A to the ordinance. Convention means the Convention on the law applicable to trusts and on their recognition done at The Hague on 1st of July 1985. And there is a note that says in particular the convention was done in a single original in the English and French languages, both texts being equally authentic. On the next page, page 28 of the English marked up copy, we have made some amendments to section 2. We have said that the English version have the force of law in Hong Kong. For section 2, subsection 2, we said in particular a Chinese translation of the specified provision is set out in the Chinese text of the schedule. And we have made changes to subsection 3, some textual changes, and we have also made other textual changes in accordance with the latest drafting practices in subsection 4. Subsection 5, we have in the original provision the reference to territory, and this may give a meaning of sovereignty, so we are now making amendments to say state, and it would be a reference to any country, territory, or place. And in here we would say that in Article 17 of the convention, the reference to a state includes a reference to any country, territory, or place. We have then made amendments to section 3 on the next page, page 29 of the English marked up copy. Originally it said this ordinance shall bind the Crown. Now it says binds the government. Page 30 of the English marked up copy. We talked about some changes to be made in sections 1 and 2. So we will amend the schedule to say, instead of Convention on the law applicable to trusts and on their recognition, provisions of convention having force of law in Hong Kong, because we already have the definition of the convention. Next, we have made some changes specifically to clause 15. I don't think you have made changes to the English text, right? Yes, it is just a Chinese change. We are making a change to what it said here on page 15 of the Chinese marked up copy. We have now on 2.3, we have made changes to say so far as applicable, and it said it would be restricted to 2 trusts. That is the trusts in section 2 and section 3, or the trusts that are derived from other judgments of Hong Kong, etc. The legal relationship created. And here it says those constituted by judgments of Hong Kong or elsewhere. So we have reference to the legislative intent, so far as applicable, should only apply to the latter kind of trust. So we are making a technical amendment to reflect this legislative intent.
啲字
And then there are minor technical amendments only applicable to the English version. Now, taking this opportunity, we would like to make minor amendments to the punctuation marks and also the wordings in the English text to align the law with the international law. For example, adding as to the word relationship. Page 32 of the English version, Article 8 of the Covenant, adding a comma after its effects. Page 33 in the English text, Article 11 of the Covenant, changing the Z in recognized to S, and also adding a comma after imply in. About replacing the Z with S in recognized, you are changing the spelling. Why is that the difference in American and British English? Or is that because you want to align the wordings with other ordinances? But the final version of the convention in 1985, in that version, the spelling of recognize with an S was used. Thank you. Please continue. Thank you, Chair. We have completed explanation of Part 76. Now moving on to the amendments in relation to the Civil Service Bureau, Part 12 of the Bill, Pensions Ordinance, Cap 89. For Chinese is pages 31 to 33 of the Chinese markup copy. There is none on the English copy. I will invite Miss Fiona Au from the Civil Service Bureau to walk us through the amendments. Thank you. Pensions Ordinance, Cap 89, Clause 21. Please refer to pages 31 to 33 of the Chinese version. Page 33. The amendment is only on the Chinese markup copy. Now, the CSB proposes to adapt section 19(3) of Cap 89 Pensions Ordinance. Page 33, replacing 皇家香港輔助警察隊 Royal Hong Kong Auxiliary Police Force in the Chinese text with 香港輔助警察隊 Hong Kong Auxiliary Police Force to align the wordings in both the Chinese and English versions. Please continue. Thank you, Chair. Now, the following are amendments in relation to the TLB. Part 10, amendments in relation to Port Control Public Cargo Working Area Consolidation Order, Cap 81 Sublage B. For the Chinese version, please refer to page 29 of the markup copy. English version, page 34. Mr. Shi Qiang, Deputy Director of Marine. Thank you. Cap 81, Sublage B. For the Chinese version is pages 34 to 35. There are two amendments. Section 3 and Section 13 in relation to New Yamate Public Cargo Working Area and Chaiwan Public Cargo Working Area. There are respective references to the Urban Land Registry. Now, according to the Land Registry Ordinance, the Urban Land Registry has been renamed as the Land Registry. So we are making the corresponding changes in both texts. Thank you. Mr. Lee? Thank you. Part 11 of the bill, Pilotage Ordinance, Cap 84. There is no amendments to the Chinese text, while for the English version is page 36 to 37 of the English markup copy. Mr. Xi Xiang, please. Amendments to Cap 84 amendments are only moved to the English version. The reference to Macau, we are changing the spelling from MACAU to MACAO. Thank you. Ms. Lee? Thank you. Now moving on to Part 26 of the Bill, Public Bus Services Ordinance, Cap 230. There are no amendments to the Chinese text, while for the English version is pages 143 to 145 on the English markup copy. Ms. Jiang from the TLB. Thank you. Now we propose to amend the Public Bus Services Ordinance for Section 4, brackets 3b, to replace these, to change the spelling of Macau MACAU with MACAO. It's on page 144 on the English markup copy. Just one? Yes, thank you. Ms. Lee? Thank you, Chair. Now we've come to Part 30 of the bill. Motor Vehicles Insurance Third-Party Risks Ordinance, Cap 272, and the relevant subsidiary legislations. For Chinese, please refer to page 155 of the Chinese markup copy and page 154 of the English version. Ms. Chair, please. Thank you. Now, Motor Vehicles Insurance Third-Party Risk Ordinance and its subsidiary legislation, there will be the following amendments. There are altogether 3 adaptative amendments. First, replacing Governor in Council with Chief Executive in Council. They can be found in Section 2, Definition of Authority. That's page 155 of the Chinese copy. Section 4, 5C, page 161, and Section 5D2, page 162 of the Chinese version. And Section 20, brackets 1, page 164 of the Chinese markup copy. That's the first set. Thank you. The second set of amendments is to replace Governor with Chief Executive. They can be found in Section 3.3, page 158 of the Chinese version, and 272A, Section 3, brackets 1, page 166 of the Chinese markup copy. The third set of amendments is to replace the states, including offices set up by the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong SAR and the government, to replace Her Majesty of the government. It can be found in Section 4.4a, page 160 of the Chinese copy. Please continue. There will be the corresponding amendments to the English text. They can be found between page 154 and 164 of the English markup copy. Replacing Governor with Chief Executive, replacing Governor in Council with Chief Executive in Council, and the states, including offices set up by the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong SAR and the government, with Her Majesty or the government. Thank you. Please continue, Ms. Lee. Thank you, Chair. Now we are at Part 31 of the bill, Merchant Shipping Ordinance, Cap 281. For Chinese amendments, please refer to page 167 of the Chinese markup copy and page 166 of the English markup copy. Mr. Xi Qiang from the Marines Department. Thank you. Amending Section 120 of Cap 281, we will repeal it. Now, when the Shipping and Port Control Fees Ordinance 1986 was amended, this is a transitional clause. Now, after 30 years of implementation, the transitional clause is no longer valid, so we propose to repeal it. For the English one, it is on page 166. Mr. Lee. Thank you. Next, Part 33 of the bill, Dangerous Goods Shipping Regulation 2012, Cap 295/F. There is no amendments to the Chinese text, while for the English amendments, page 169, Mr. Xixiang. Thank you, Chair. Amendments to Cap 295/F. In the English version, there is the term Hong Kong Macau Ferry Terminal. The spelling is MACAU. Now we are changing it to MACAO. Page 169 on the English text. Mr. Lee. Thank you. Next, Part 34 of the bill in relation to Shipping and Port Control Ordinance, Cap 313, and the subsidiary legislations. For the Chinese version, please refer to page 170, English 171. Mr. Xiqiang from Marine Department. Part 34, amendments to Cap 313. Page 170 for Chinese, 171 for English. Section 81, just like Part 31, is in relation to the Shipping and Port Control Fees Ordinance 1986. When it was last amended, there was a transitional clause. 31 years on, the transitional clause is no longer needed, so we propose to repeal it. Please continue. 313/A. We also propose to change the spelling of Hong Kong Macau, MACAU to MACAO. That's on page 172 and 173 of the English version. Please continue. Again, subsequently, same change. Page 173 of the English version. Should I cover all these similar amendments? Yes, please. And also, page 175 of the English version. This is Cap 313H. Please continue. And one more. Page 177 of the English version. One 272. Sorry, we are not there yet. So we have completed this part about changing the spelling of Macau to MACAO. Mr. Lee, thank you. We have completed part 34 of the bill. And we will move on to part 37 of the bill, Merchant Shipping Safety, Passenger Ship Construction and Survey, Ships Built on or after the 1st of September 1984 regulations, Cap 369/AM. Page 180 for the English version, Mr. Xiqiang. Thank you. Amending Cap 369/AM, page 172 on Chinese and 180 for the English version. Two amendments. One, replacing Director of Marine Hong Kong with Director. Now, under the Merchant Shipping Safety Ordinance, the definition for Director of Marine Hong Kong has been set, so we are replacing it with Director only. That's page 182 or 180 for the English version. Second, 369/AM, 86(2). Now, originally it says if a British vessel runs into accidents in the sea, it should make a report to the British consulate. Now, because of the change in our sovereignty, the requirement is obsolete, and also we have a reporting mechanism under the Marine Department, so we are repealing this part under Section 82(2). Mr. Lee, thank you, Chair. And moving on to Part 38 of the bill, Cap 372/B, Kowloon Canton Railway Corporation Bylaws. Chinese version, page 173, English version, page 181. Ms. Jiang from the TLB. Thank you, Chairman. We propose to amend
16A 條
We propose to amend section 16 to say instead of mainland China, we'll say mainland. That's about it for the amendment. Thank you. Well, I want to ask, Professor Priscilla Leung actually raised a written question at an earlier meeting on the issue of mainland China or mainland. So what is the administration's stance on this now? Will you adopt a consistent expression, or what is it? Mr. Wesley Wong. Thank you. That was on chapter 41R. We have references to mainland China, Taiwan, Macau, and Hong Kong. Now here, the reference is only made to Hong Kong and the mainland. I believe there will not be a similar dispute or confusion there. Professor Priscilla Leung, I think we should adopt a consistent approach. For many years, we referred to the mainland as mainland China, and the M will be in a small letter. Now, we would only say mainland. But then in Europe, they also have a reference to mainland. That is the mainland of Europe. So we talked about mainland China because it was supposed to be the mainland of China. So with mainland here, is it clear enough? In Chinese, it's much clearer, but in English, there may be some confusion. In Chinese, it actually said mainland China. The word China is retained, but in English, well, there's still China, but the China is, well, the mainland now has a capital letter M. Is that the only change? Correct. We are making use of capital letter M here. But are there any other pieces of legislation that said the mainland of China, and with that expression, you have also used capital letter M? I think, again, there should be some consistency, Mr. Wesley Wong, SC. Well, if we can refer to page 181 of the English marked up copy, section 16A of chapter 372B. Like we touched on earlier, we have China retained here. It's just that the M for mainland is now a capital letter. Mr. Dan Sloan, I do note this piece of legislation is Kowloon Canton Railway Corporation bylaws. And this is because before the East Rail would have a train traveling between Canton, Guangdong, and Kowloon. So without such trains now, is this piece of legislation necessary, or is this going to be repealed at some point? Transport and Logistics Bureau. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for the question. We have no such train service for some time now, but we need to see if there are other provisions that actually need to be repealed, and we will introduce such amendments in due course. Well, when will you actually conduct this review? Are you going to introduce the amendments along with other law well, the other provisions to be adapted next year. We will work with the DOJ on this. Thank you. Professor Priscilla Leung. I want to check if my understanding is correct. So, right now you're focusing on the adaptation part. So you're only checking the wording. You haven't really considered the part about repealing the outdated provisions. When will you deal with the provisions? I want to ask about what your plans are. Because I only found out about this train service issue from the discussions earlier. Well, I'll let the Transport and Logistics Bureau representative supplement my answers. But I understand this piece of legislation also has something to do with the merger of MTRC and the KCR, which is quite complicated, and this is why we couldn't have a full review of this piece of legislation. So we will deal with the more simple adaptation issues first, and then the Bureau will conduct a more comprehensive review in due course. Chairman, if I may. Sure. Well, will this be dealt with in the statute law exercise? Or would they conduct a review on their own? So can we include this review in the statute law revision exercise? Well, I think from what I heard, the Bureau has to conduct a detailed review to see if there are far-reaching implications before they include such provisions in the statute law revision exercise. Mr. Dennis Leung, I think the approach taken is appropriate because we should deal with the simpler issues first. And the issue is the MTRC is now renting facilities of the KCRC. There may be some complexities involved. I think we can, as said, deal with the simpler issues first. Thank you. Mr. Terence Lee. Thank you, Chair. Next. Part 39, Chapter 374, Key Road Traffic Expressway Regulations. The Chinese marked-up copies, page numbers, page 174, page 182 of the English marked-up copy. Ms. Ching from the Transport and Logistics Bureau. Thank you. We suggest to repeal Section 4, subsection 2C in the ordinance, that is the reference to the urban council or the regional council. Are you replacing it with anything? No, we're just repealing the reference. Well, I think it says here in Chinese there will be a reference to the government, and that would replace the part for the urban council or the regional council. In Chinese, that is. Correct. Professor Priscilla Leung. Sorry, I am speaking again to give more comments. The urban council or the regional council were things in the past, actually a far past. So I think it is now time to remove these references as much as we can. Thank you. Thank you. We have for part 54 amendments to chapter 548 and the subsidiary legislation. Chinese marked up copy, page 263. English marked up copy, page 272. Mr. Shi from the Marine Department. Thank you. First, an amendment to Chapter 548. We are amending the reference in the Chinese text to say mainland China, and also in Section 2 in the English marked up copy, the changes are made to the word Macau. Before it was spelled as MACAU, it will say MACAO in future. We have also made a similar change on page 273 of the English marked up copy, Section 2 of Chapter 548B. And then in Chapter 548F, we are making a similar change in Section 94. That's it. Thank you. I have a question. Page 272 of the English marked up copy. I note that for the definition of local vessel, paragraph E, registered in the mainland of China or Macau, MACAO. But before, we do not have the mainland of China. We have mainland China. So in the other provisions we looked at, they had the term mainland China. Here we have in the mainland of China. Should we, for consistency, make some changes? Mr. Terence Lee, you understand what I'm saying, right? Mr. Wesley Wong, I believe the chairman was referring to Section 16A. Well, if mainland China, if there's a comma involved, there's no need for the mainland of China. So here it says in particular the mainland of China. Mr. Wesley Wong, can I ask something? For the provisions we have reviewed, we have seen two ways of expressing this, the mainland of China and mainland China. Are you trying not to make changes as much as possible to the specific parts? Well, I understand that is the case. I'll ask the Law Drafting Division officer to answer this question. Thank you. In Chapter 372B, we tried to not make as many changes as possible. So we will try not to add the mainland. But if we are saying here, as said, the mainland of China, then we have to add the. Yes, Mr. Dennis Leung. The speaker's microphone is not on. Thank you, Chair. I understand the DOJ's stance, trying not to make that many changes, trying to make as few changes as possible, essentially. But of course, we want the provisions to be as updated as possible, and they should be consistent so that we will have consistent provisions. I think consistency is indeed appreciated. Next, Mr. Terence Lee. Thank you. We are now at Part 60. Chapter 632, Guangzhou Shenzhen Hong Kong Express Rail Link Co-location Ordinance. We have no changes in the Chinese marked up copy. English marked up copy, page 362. Transport and Logistics Bureau, Ms. Ching.
Ms. Chang Si-Ling. Thank you. We propose to amend the spelling of Macau, MACAU. We will change it to MACAO in the Guangzhou Shenzhen Hong Kong Express Rail Lane Co-location Ordinance. Mr. Lee, thank you. Next, Cap 1023/A, Hong Kong and Kowloon Wharf and Go Down Company Limited Bylaws, Part 62 of the bill. Page 381 to 382 on the Chinese version and English 396 to 397. Mr. Zhang from the TLB. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. We propose that for the Hong Kong and Kowloon Wharf and Go Down Company Limited Bylaws, Sub-1 will move the following amendments. Subsection, Section 7(1), replacing Marine Police, Fire Services, Immigration, Department of Health, Port Health, or Customs and Excise Departments of the government with states, including the offices set up by the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong SAR and the Marine Police, the Fire Services Department, the Immigration Department, the Department of Health, Port Health, and the Customs and Excise Departments of the government. That's page 396 on the English version. Yes. Please continue. The second amendment is amending Section 12, replacing the Crown with the states, including the offices set up by the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong SAR and the government. English version, where is that? It's page 397 in the English version. Ms. Lee, please. Thank you, Chair. We now move on to Part 68 of the bill, repeal of certain enactments. We're going to cover Cap 81(c) and Cap 1001 and the subsidiary legislation. For the Chinese copy, please refer to page 416, English, page 431. This is Xi Chang from the Marines Department. Thank you, Chair. Now, first of all, repealing Section 81(c). Port control, public waterfront consolidation. Now, between 1986 and 1996, all the relevant ordinances have been repealed. And also in the future, there will not be any more public waterfront consolidation order. So we are repealing them. That's page 431 on the English version. Thank you. Please continue. And then the following two pieces of amendments are the same. Page 525 to 526 in the English version and pages 510 to 511 on the Chinese version. Mercantile Marine Assistance Fund Ordinance, and a piece of subsidiary legislation, Mercantile Marine Assistance Fund Regulations. That's pages 527 and 528 of the English version and 512 to 513 of the Chinese version. Now the ordinance and the regulation are for offering assistance to seafarers under special circumstances. Now, we now have international maritime conventions, and it already offers protection to seafarers. And also the assistance fund has ended before 1996, so the provisions are no longer needed. Has the TLB completed all the parts? Thank you. Now, at this juncture, when the TLB is still with us, at previous meetings, Ms. Doreen Kong asked a question about the preliminary of the Blue Bill concerning the TLB. The amendments are not here, though. That's page 2511 on the Blue Bill. Ms. Doreen Kong asked about the commencement date. Can I have an answer from the administration? P.S. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Secretariat, for reminding us of the question. Now, the Secretariat of the LLC and the Policy Bureaus haven't completed our review work fully at the time. So when the bill was drafted, we took the approach of deferred commencement and commencement by way of publication of a notice on the Gazette by the relevant secretaries. After Mr. Ring Kong asked the question, our secretariats and the policy bureaus have made some efforts, and it is very likely that in the near future there will be some good news to share. After the Bills Committee or before the Bills Committee finished the scrutiny process, we will be able to formulate committee stage amendments proposals to address the remaining issues. So at this moment, I cannot make a substantive reply yet, but we have confidence that in the foreseeable future, we can give you a concrete answer and set a concrete timetable for the commencement of the law. We will submit the relevant proposals for the Bills Committee's scrutiny. That's a piece of good news. Thank you very much. Now we have come to the Security Bureau. Mr. Lee. Thank you, Chair. Now, these are amendments in relation to the policy, to the Security Bureau. Part 8 of the bill, Cap 60, and is sublege. There is no amendment to the Chinese text, while for the English version, please refer to pages 22 to 26 of the English markup copy. We invite Ms. Li Zhou-Yi from the Security Bureau to walk us through the amendments. Thank you. Please refer to page 22, 23, and 26 of the English version of the markup copy. Now, in response to the LLC's recommendation, in this exercise, we will amend Import and Export Ordinance Cap 60 and also the Sublege D Export Prescribed Articles Regulations concerning the spelling of Macau in the English version. Now, this is to implement the LLC's recommendation and only relates to the spelling of the English word in the English version. Now, this is in relation to Section 6E, 5EI, and also in the regulation, Section 4A. We propose to amend the spelling of Macau from MACAU to MACAO. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Next, Part 13 of the bill, Cap 115 and its subsidiary legislation. For Chinese, please refer to page 34 of the Chinese version and page 38 of the English version. We will invite Ms. Cheng R.C. from the Security Bureau. Thank you. Now, some changes to the immigration ordinance. They are mainly in relation to the matters of import and exports. These are adaptation amendments and also repealing obsolete provisions. These are minor and textual in nature. I will go through them one by one. Clause 22, pages 33 and 36 in the Chinese version and 38 and 40 in the English version. That's in relation to the definition of specified country under Cap 115. It will be replaced with specified place. And also We will replace country or territory with country, territory, or place, and a national or citizen with a national, citizen, or resident. Now it covers a person from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So that's why we are proposing these adaptative amendments. Now pages 38 and 40 in the English versions, there are similar changes. We are replacing specified country with specified place. And also in the English interpretation, item A, originally it says of which a person who is to be removed from Hong Kong is a national or a citizen. It will be changed to of which a person who is to be removed from Hong Kong is a national, citizen, or resident. And section 2.1, for the sake of consistency, we are amending the Chinese version to amend the term country or territory under the definition for valid travel documents with country, territory, or place. The same applies to the English version. Again, similar changes under Cap 115. Clause 24 of the bill, Section Cap 115, Section 21C and 4, replacing specified country with specified place. That's pages 48 and 49 in the English version. Similarly, clause 25, we propose to amend section 25 2A, 2B, and 4, replacing specified country with specified place, both in Chinese and English version. Page 46 in the Chinese version and 40 or 50 in the English version. Moving on, the same group of changes. Section 23, or clause 23 of the bill, section 13D, brackets 2, we propose to replace another state or territory with a country or territory or a place outside Hong Kong. Page 41 of the Chinese version, and page 45 in the English version. To replace another state or territory with a country or territory or a place outside Hong Kong. Still the same group of amendments. Clause 26 of the bill, Cap 115, Section 37Z, 3AB, replacing specified country with specified place, page 52 on the English version. Please continue. Mr. Dennis Leung. Chair, I would like to follow up on a mistake made by the official. At some point, she said replacing specified place with specified country, but it should have been the other way around. Which page is that? Clause 24. That's pages 44 and 45. Section 24, brackets 1C. Meaning page 44 and 45 of the Chinese markup copy. Please clarify. Thank you, Mr. Dennis Leung. Let me explain again. Clause 24 of the bill, Cap 115, Section 24, brackets 1C and D. We are replacing specified country with specified place. Thank you, Mr. Leung.
Mrs. Dennis Lang has quite a clear head here. Please proceed. Part 13, Chapter 115A, Section 27, Regulation 3A, Clause 27, page 49 of the Chinese marked up copy. We will repeal and a certificate of nationality and a certificate of identity. And this is seen on page 53 of the English marked up copy. That is a similar change. Excuse me, Professor Priscilla Leung. Excuse me, I have a question. For Regulation 3A, with this repealing of the part for Certificate of Nationality and Certificate of Identity, what does it actually do? Well, this is repealing of an outdated provision. On 1st of July 1997, the Immigration Department since then would not issue these certificates. Since these documents are no longer issued, there is no longer a need to include these in the provisions. Wow, since 1997. Again, 27 years. It is taken too long, it seems. Alright? I urge the administration to conduct a review and remove these as soon as possible. And these are very much past outdated. I hope I don't have to say this again. Please proceed. Thank you. For the relevant certificates in Section 29(1), Chapter 115A, Schedule 2, there are two other items on the relevant certificates. Page 66 of the Chinese marked up copy. We will repeal the relevant references for the reasons I said earlier, because these are outdated. Page 70 of the English marked up copy. We have similar changes. Alright, I'll move on to Part 13, Clause 28. Again, an amendment to Chapter 115A. We have in Schedule 1 some forms. I would first like to thank the Council for our previous law adaptation exercise in 2024. Members gave us some feedback on the outdated references in forms for the years. Say it would still say 19 something, which is why we have included such amendments in this exercise. Page 51 of the Chinese marked up copy, page 55 of the English marked up copy. For form number 2, in the form it actually said day of and then 19 meaning the year. It is of course no longer right, which is why we will remove 19 altogether to have the year just be a blank. I also note in the Chinese marked up copy it would go from page 51 to page 62. Well, actually 65 also. The amendments are similar. So can you just talk about these other sections as well. It is indeed for the same reason the other parts are amended, but there is a slight change. Say form number 8, it actually said 20. So for the other forms, we have 19. We are making this change now for form number 8 because we think it will be more convenient if we do not have the part 20 here. We should just make it a blank. And we have in multiple forms 19. Number 2, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8A, number 8B, number 9, number 10, number 11. They all have in the year part 19, and for the English marked copy, the page does numbers 56, 57, 58, 59, 63, 64, 65, 66, and 69. Thank you. Please proceed. Next. Section 29. Actually, Clause 29 in Schedule 2, we are making amendments to repeal foreign state and substitute that with place outside Hong Kong. Please proceed. Thank you, Chair. Part 13, Division 3, Immigration Places of Detention Order, Chapter 115B. Clause 30. This is a change only to the English version. Page 74 of the English marked up copy. We will amend the spelling of Macau to say MACAO instead of MACAU. Thank you. Please proceed. Division 4, Immigration Anchorages and Landing Places Order, Chapter 115C. Clause 31. Again, only an amendment in the English text. Page 78 of the English marked up copy. We will amend the spelling of Macau from MACAU to MACAO. Please proceed. Division 5, Immigration Unauthorized Entrance Order, Chapter 115D. Clause 13.2. We are amending paragraph 2.1 in the English text. Before we had the term subparagraph with a hyphen, we will remove the hyphen. This change is also found in paragraph 2.2, also on page 79 of the English marked up copy. Next. We are amending paragraph 218A. We will repeal the part, the People's Republic of China when not in possession of documents issued in that country permitting them to do so in accordance with its laws, and substitute this with the mainland of China, mainland when not in possession of documents issued by the relevant authorities of the mainland permitting them to do so in accordance with the law of the mainland. And this is found on page 79 of the English marked up copy. And in the Chinese version, we have similar changes. Please proceed. Now, in paragraph 2, 1b and c, it is also only a change in the English text. We will repeal MACU and substitute that with MACO. Please proceed. Well, you talked about this paragraph 1, right? Yes. Are you done with this part? Yes, we have completed scrutiny of part 13. Mr. Terence Lee. Thank you. Part 25, Chapter 228, Summary Offences Ordinance, Security Bureau's amendments. Again, we have page 142 in both Chinese and English marked up copies. I'll now ask Mr. So from the Security Bureau to brief members on the amendment. Thank you. For Summary Offences Ordinance, Chapter 228, we have made changes to say in subsection 2, the Chinese People's Liberation Army replacing Her Majesty's forces. All right, please proceed. Mr. Terence Lee. Part 27, Chapter 232, Police Force Ordinance. Chinese marked up copy, page 143, page 146 of the English marked up copy. I will now ask the Chief Superintendent, Mr. Chan, to brief members on the amendment. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Please speak into the microphone loudly. Excuse me. I think your microphone is not on just yet. Testing. Can you speak into the microphone? Thank you, Chair. The police force proposed to amend the relevant section to say in particular for police communication officer, we have some amendments, and these are frontline officers. We have rising public expectations. They also have a heavier workload. In order to reflect the professionalism of the grade, we are proposing to give them proper recognition by amending the term in Chinese from 警察通訊員 to 警察通訊主任. Basically, it would say officer now, specifically in Chinese as well. So we are making the relevant changes in section 39 of the ordinance. Sorry, what's the English page number? Well, there is no change in the English text. Please proceed. Chair, if I may. Sure. Again, for chapter 232, wait. Please wait. I don't think we talked about the repealing of subsection 4 in section 52. Section 52. Apart from what is said for the police communications officer that changed, we have not talked about the amendment for the repealing of subsection 4. Well, it was actually what I was going to say for section 52, subsection 4. Page 149 in the Chinese marked up copy. Mr. So from the Security Bureau will brief members on the change. Thank you, Chair.
多謝主席。
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DOJ. Cap 62, Section 4. When it concerns a police officer arresting someone who is a member of Her Majesty's forces. Now, the person needs to be brought before the Majesty's forces, and then it will be brought before the magistrate within 48 hours. Now, the garrison law since the implementation of the law in 1997, all law enforcement agencies, including the police force, must give regard to the relevant regulations to deal with matters where the garrison force commits an offence. Now, there are already requirements in place, so we propose to repeal subsection 4 to avoid any confusion in the scenario when such a case arises. Ms. Lee. Now we are now at part 35 of the bill. Cap 331/B. Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Sorry, the speaker is not speaking into the microphone. And again, Cap 62. That's a relevant amendment in relation to Cap 232. Now, I will invite Mr. So-Chun Kit to explain the amendments under Cap 62 as well. Thank you. Now, concerning the amendments concerning the repealing subsection 4, we also propose to amend Section 2 of the Judicial Proceedings Adjournments during Gale Warnings Ordinance. It's on page 149 of the English version to remove the relevant reference to the Majesty's forces. Thank you, Chair. Now we are at part 35 of the bill. Cap 331/B Immigration Service Designated Places Order. There are no amendments to the Chinese version, while for the English version is pages 176 to 178. Ms. Cheng, I see from the Security Bureau, please. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, DOJ. Now, Clause 99 of the bill, we propose to amend Cap 331/B Immigration Service Designated Places Order. Now, page 177 of the English version, we propose to change the spelling of Macau MACAU to MACAO. Thank you. Next, Cap 460, Security and Guarding Services Ordinance. Part 43 of the bill, page 204 to 207 of the Chinese version, and page 212 of the English version. Again, Mr. So-Chun Kit from the Security Bureau. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, DOJ. Now we propose amendments to the Security and Guarding Services Ordinance. These are technical, adaptative changes, including Section 4, page 212 in the English version, replacing Governor with Chief Executive in both the Chinese and English version. Section 6, we propose to change the Chinese version, Legislative Council, 立法局 to 立法會. 29, 206 in Chinese version, Governor in Council to Chief Executive in Council. That's page 213 in the English version. Finally, Schedule 1, Part 2, 217 of Chinese version. Persons holding an office of emolument under the Crown in rights of the government of the United Kingdom. We will change it to officials or employees of the Central People's Government or of other competent authorities of the People's Republic of China. The amendment applies to both the Chinese and English versions. Thank you, Chair. We have now come to Part 48 of the bill. Cap 503L, page 233 of the Chinese version and page 237 of the English version. Mr. So Chen Keith from the SB. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, DOJ. We propose to amend the Fugitive Offenders Notification Procedures Regulation, Cap 503/L. These are technical amendments. Section 1 of the Ordinance, page 253 of the Chinese version, Secretary of State. We will replace it with Central People's Governments. Thank you. Mr. Lee. Thank you, Chair. Next, Part 49 of the bill, Cap 513, Transfer of Sentenced Persons Ordinance. There are no changes to the Chinese text, but pages 238 to 244 of the English version. I will lead this part. For Cap 13, we are simply changing the spelling of Macau, MACAU, in the English text with MACAO. There is no substantive changes to the provisions. First of all, page 238 of the English markup copy, Section 2, Arrangements for the Transfer of Sentenced Persons. There are 3 references in relation to Macau. They are all changed. Page 239, Section 4, brackets 2B2. There are 3 references of Macau. Again, all changed to MACAO. And then page 243 and 244. There are 2 references to Macau on each page. They were all changed they will all be spelled MACAO after they changed. Thank you. Next, Part 59 of the bill, Cap 629. Again, there are no amendments to the Chinese version. For the English, it's 360 to 361. Ms. Li Zhouyi from the SB. Thank you, Chan. Thank you, DOJ. Just now, the Marines Department mentioned that the Hong Kong-Macau ferry terminal would be spelled MACAO instead. And also, the cross-boundary movement of physical currency and bearer negotiable instruments ordinance, Cap 2629, name of Hong Kong-Macau ferry terminal also appears. That's page 360 in the English version. We propose to amend the Hong Kong-Macau ferry terminal in Schedule 1. We will change it to MACAO. The Chinese text is untouched. Mr. Lee, thank you. Part 58 of the bill, Cap 597. Page 358 to 359 of the English version. No amendments to the Chinese one. And we invite Mr. Fogg from the DOJ to walk us through this part. Ms. Serena Fogg, Government Counsel. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, DOJ. So the amendments is on page 358 of the English version. Mainland Judgments Reciprocal Enforcement Ordinance, Section 2, we propose to change the spelling of Macau, MACAU, to MACAO. Thank you. Mr. Lee? Thank you. Now we have now come to Part 64 of the bill, Cap 1048 St. Joseph's College Incorporation Ordinance. That's page 384 of the Chinese version and page 399 of the English version. We invite Ms. Magnolia Leung from the EDB. Thank you. Now, Cap 1048 St. Joseph's College Incorporation Ordinance. Now, please refer to page 384 of the Chinese version and page 399 of the English version. Now, the Education Bureau proposed to amend some obsolete references. Section 5, The pieces or parcels of ground respectively registered in the Land Registry at Victoria in Hong Kong as Inland Lot number 1506 and the remaining portion of Inland Lot number 1642 or any other lands, buildings, messuages or tenements situated in Hong Kong which may at any time hereafter be vested in the corporation. Now we propose to repeal this reference. Please continue. Thank you. Cap 1089, St. Paul's College Council St. John's College Ordinance, page 389 of Chinese version and page 404 of the English version. Ms. Jerry G. from the Education Bureau. Thank you. Clause 230, amending St. John's College Ordinance, Cap 1089. Now please refer to page 389 of the Chinese version and page 404 of the English version. Now specifically, we propose to amend Section 11A and replace Bishop of Victoria, Hong Kong, with Archbishop of the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. These are obsolete references. Please continue, Mr. Lee. Thank you. Next, Part 67 of the bill, St. Paul's College Council Incorporation Ordinance, Cap 1102. The Chinese version, the relevant parts are pages 390 to 393. For the English version, pages 405 to 408. Ms. Magnolia Leung from the EDB. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, DOJ. St. Paul's College Council Incorporation Ordinance, Cap 1102. Please refer to pages 390 to 393 of the Chinese version and pages 405 to 408 of the English markup copy. Very briefly, we propose to amend Section 4, subsection 1A, changing the reference to Chung Hua Shen Kong Wui to Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. In Section 8, 1, the reference of Bishop's Commissary appointed under the Bishop of Victoria Incorporation Ordinance, replacing it with Archbishop of the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. And subsection 8.1, the reference of by the Bishop's Commissary, we will replace it with by the Archbishop of the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. In subsection 6, we will clarify that the regulations of the corporation are not subsidiary legislation. So subsection A will be repealed, and also we will add a subsection 6 brackets 4, specifying that the regulations of this St. Paul's College Council is not a subsidiary legislation. Mr. Lee. Thank you. The following are similar amendments. Cap 1102A, St. Paul's College Council Regulations will repeal the enactments. Please refer to pages 529 to 536 of the English markup copy. Ms. Magnolia Leung, please. Thank you, Chan. Thank you, DOJ. But just now, Mr. Lee mentioned that we propose to repeal certain enactments under Cap 1102A. The St. Paul's College Council regulations are the first set of regulations back in 1962 when the St. Paul's College Council Incorporation Ordinance was entered into. Now, according to the power and accorded to St. Paul's College Council in 1962, Cap 1102A was kept in our law. Now it says that the St. Paul's College Council may amend the law from time to time without getting the prior approval from the Chief Executive in Council. Section 6.3, it mentions that the regulation should not be a subsidiary legislation. So having consulted the Shin Kong Wu, to avoid any doubt about the legal status of the College Council, we propose to repeal Cap 1102A and add a new provision to clarify the situation.
Mr. Terence Lee. Thank you, Chair. We have now the amendments proposed by the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau, Part 61 of the bill, Chapter 1014 and its subsidiary legislation. Page 357 of the Chinese marked up copy, page 363 of the English marked up copy. Mr. Yim from the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau, please. Thank you. Let me first talk about from a macro perspective what the amendments are. For one, Church of England. Right now in law it is said to be Church of England. We have consulted the Shin Kong Wu and we have to replace it with English-speaking Anglican Church. When we go through the sections, I will not go into details for these changes because I've already talked about it now. As for the Archbishop references, we have also made some changes. And when I get to the specific sections, I will talk about them. Let's now go through the sections one by one. Clause 199. Amendment to the long title. Page 363 of the English marked up copy. It is just a change made to the English text. There is no change to the Chinese text. So after that, we have clause 200. We are amending the preamble. Excuse me, Mr. Dennis Leung. Yes. Well, they have made some changes, but did they amend the heading? Yes. When we get to page 365 of the English marked up copy, in the short title there will be an amendment. Once the amendment takes effect, this will also amend the name of the ordinance. Alright? If the chairman would allow it, we'll go back to pages 363 to 364 of the English marked up copy. There are several changes in the English marked up copy. There are some amendments to the term Church of England. And, well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of the references, but they have different changes, right? And there's also have a change made to on crown land. Yes, I'm about to talk about it. In Chinese, it also has the same expression, essentially. We have reviewed this and we believe with the deletion of the part, it will still mean the same thing. So we propose to delete the part on crown land altogether. And we have on page 357 of the Chinese marked up copy, we said in particular for Bishop of Victoria of Hong Kong as well as the relevant constitutions, we consider it to be somewhat redundant in the Chinese drafting. So we are proposing to make some changes to make the provision simpler. Next, clause 201, amending section 1. In the English text, we will repeal Church of England and have instead English-speaking Anglican Church. Clause 202, we are amending section 2. That is pages 365 to 366 of the English marked-up copy. Specifically, for the definition of bishop, we will repeal the part Bishop of Victoria, Hong Kong. Having consulted Shin Kung Wei, we propose to substitute it with Archbishop of the Hong Kong, Shin Kung Wei. And next we have the definition of Chapel of Ease. We will repeal the part Church of England and substitute it with English-speaking Anglican Church. We have also amended the part for definition of diocesan conference. Apparently, this conference no longer exists, and having consulted Shin Kung Wei, we are supposed to replace it with diocesan synod. We have also made some changes to the definition of House of Bishops. Next, clause 203. Pages 360 to 362 of the Chinese marked-up copy, pages 367 to 369 of the English marked-up copy, pages 361 to 362 of the Chinese marked-up copy. For commissary, as we said earlier, the definition has been repealed. So we'll repeal the part in section 3 for all his commissary as well. Excuse me, I will stop you here. We have more provisions to cover, but we are going to end our meeting soon. Perhaps let me ask members if we can extend the meeting by 15 minutes, if there are no objections. No objections. Please proceed. Thank you. Please refer to page 363 of the Chinese marked-up copy, page 370 of the English marked-up copy. We have changed the reference to Church of England. Excuse me. In the blue bill, C2787. You're talking about the English text changes, right? Is it section 31C, the change to the English text? Were you referring to this? C2787. Correct. Clause 203. It amends section 3 of the Elephant Ordinance. Pages 367 to 369 of the English marked-up copy. In the English text, we will repeal the part Church of England. We actually had before referred to Church of England, and we need to amend the reference to say English-speaking Anglican Church. We are also repealing subsection 2 in section 3 because we no longer have the relevant arrangements for the bishop to have the power to give or revoke a dormant commission. Yes, Professor Priscilla Leung. I think we may have gone past that, but I have some questions on page 379 of the English marked-up copy. For the Chinese marked-up copy, it's page 368. For Shin Kung Hui, the Archbishop, so here it says Archbishop of the Hong Kong Shin Kung Hui. Why not Archbishop of the English-speaking Anglican Church? Shouldn't it be an equivalent? Excuse me. What was the member referring to? Page 370 9 of the English marked up copy, and I think in Chinese it's page 368. Well, I don't think we've covered this just yet. Part 61, right? Page 379, we haven't got to this page just yet. Alright, you haven't gone through that, and I think you can raise your questions, and then when we get to that part, the representative can address your questions. Okay, so I guess he can give a response later. Alright, we'll proceed to clause 204, section 5. Chinese marked up copy, page 363, page 317 in the English marked up copy. Again, we're making some changes to the references to Church of England. We have also consulted Shen Konghui, and they said in section 5, subsection 2, it is no longer necessary to say specifically or elsewhere in the diocese, which is why we're essentially deleting that part. Next, section 6 of the ordinance, page 371 to page 373, some English text amendments. Next, page 364 of the Chinese marked up copy, page 374 of the English marked up copy. As I said earlier, we are repealing the part or his commissary because we have no longer the definition of commissary. Next, pages 365 to 366 of the Chinese marked up copy, pages 375 to 376 of the English marked up copy. We no longer need commissary, which is why we're deleting the relevant references. Alright? Also, Professor Priscilla Leung, are you now at page 365 of the Chinese marked up copy? They also talked about Shen Konghui, right? Page 365 of the Chinese marked up copy. Well, the English marked up copy, I think even on page 366 of the English marked up copy, they have used Shen Konghui instead of English-speaking Anglican Church. Why? So for 英語聖公會, you're using English-speaking Anglican Church. Why is it that you have some referring to Archbishop of Shen Konghui instead? Well, it is because we have consulted Shen Konghui. These are how the operations of Shen Konghui work, and we are supposed to have references to Shen Konghui instead. For the Anglican Church, I believe these are not relevant to registration, so we are retaining those references to the Anglican Church. Oh, is it a specific term that they use? Say Church of England is actually outside of the system of Hong Kong. Is it a noun in particular that we should be using Mr. Wesley Wong SC? Well, actually, in 1995, before the handover, there were already 3 private members' bills establishing Shen Konghui, which is why we are trying to include these references. But Anglican Church is also a specific noun, right? This is exactly the body established under this law. They are two different bodies.
English-speaking Anglican Church, that's a defined term. Now in this context, that's the the Church of England Trust. That's the name of the trust. So in the original text, it says Church of England, so you are amending it to English-speaking Anglican Church instead of Church of England. Then you also mentioned, you add the prefix English-speaking before Anglican Church. So are they two separate nouns? These two are two different organizations, Shen Kong Wui and Anglican Church. Let's continue. Mr. Dennis Leung, Chair, allow me to supplement to answer Professor Leung's question. Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui is a religious body registered in Hong Kong. So the English registered name is Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. That's the Chinese and English names of one of our local religious bodies. Concerning the so-called English-speaking Anglican Church in the law, now before the reunification, the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui then had some relationship with the religion in the UK. They supported the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui financially. Now, since reunification, we need to resolve these obsolete issues, so we need to separate the two terms. Thank you. Any more follow-up questions? Let's continue. Thank you, Professor Leung and Mr. Leung, for your supplement. 208, amending the English text, page 377 of the English markup copy. My apologies. Clause 207. Section 8, brackets 1 and 2 were not mentioned. Section 8, brackets 1. The bishop's commissary, as we said, the arrangement has become obsolete, so it will be repealed. Section 8, brackets 2b, diocesan conference. Now, upon consulting the Shen Kong Wui, this is no longer in existence. So under the arrangement at present, the bishop will make this appointment, so we are changing the reference. Please continue. Clause 208. Please refer to page 377 of the English markup copy, still about the English expression of Church of England. And then clause 209, 367 on the Chinese copy, and 378 of the English markup copy. This is about religious ceremonies in prisons or government hospitals. Now, originally, it says religious services administrations of the Church of England. Now, we are changing it to Anglican Church in English and Shen Kong Wui in the Chinese copy to cover all the religious services provided by the Anglican Church. Clause 210, 368 of the Chinese copy and 379 of the English markup copy. So this here is a schedule. There are several amendments. In Chinese, the amendments are adding Cap 1014 of the English-speaking Anglican Church Trust Ordinance. And also the day of 19-something, so we are deleting 19. And also we are replacing Bishop of Victoria with Archbishop of the Hong Kong Shen Kong Wui. Now, Professor Leung asked a question in this regard. As we've explained, Anglican Church and Shinkongbui are two different bodies. Now, page 379 of the English copy. The name of the schedule will be amended. Church of England Trust Ordinance will be amended to English-speaking Anglican Church Trust Ordinance. Please continue. Clause 211, amending the Church of England Trust Church Council's regulations. Page 388, the English expression of Church of England is amended. Clause 212, page 369 of the Chinese copy and 380 of the English marked up copy. We have consulted the DOJ. In the regulation, the reference made to the principal ordinance should be in abbreviation, so we are replacing the full name of the ordinance with just ordinance. Clause 213 of the bill, page 370 of the Chinese version and page 381 of the English marked up copy. Still on references of the Church of England. There is also one word. Section 2C, diocese. Originally, the D was in capital letter, but that refers to the definition of diocese in the principal ordinance, so we are changing it to a small d. Page 370, deleting Victoria Diocese. The name is obsolete. Clause 214, amendments to the English text. Page 382 of the markup copy. There is a typo. Of co-opted members, it should be or. Clause 215, Chinese markup copy 371 to 372, English 383 and 384. Again, replacing the full name of the ordinance with just ordinance. 216, clause 216, same proposal, replacing the full name of the ordinance with just ordinance. Clause 217, page 375 the Chinese copy and 385 of the English markup copy. My apologies, 386 to 387. Church of England. Having consulted the Shinkongbui, Church of England should be replaced with Anglican Church. And diocese, small letter d. And the day in the template, we are deleting of 19 and leave it blank. And we are deleting the reference to or his commissary. That's clause 217. 218. 386 to 389, and for English, 388 to 391. 376 of the Chinese copy, Victoria Diocese, we are deleting the reference. And then Diocesan Conference, we are replacing it with Synod. And also we're deleting the year, 19 something, and also replacing Conference with Synod. Phrase 3 of the Chinese version deletes the year 19 something and replacing the full name of the ordinance with the ordinance. Similar changes to the English text. Now here we still have two parts in the bill to deal with. Now since we have already extended the meeting, we must end by 4:15 unless you allow me to extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. If so, with your consent, I will extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. Thank you. I will be as swift as possible. Clause 219, amending Section 19 of the law, 392 of the English version, again, Church of England, replaced with English-speaking Anglican Church. 220, similar amendments. Page 393 of the English version, or the Chinese version, Church of England. Clause 221 of the bill. Page 394 of the English marked up copy. Again, Church of England. Clause 222, again. So 392, 393, 4, and 5, these are all in relation to the English expression of Church of England. So that concludes my explanation. Mr. Lee, thank you. We will now invite Mr. Henry Yim to walk us through the amendments in relation to Cap 1034. Cap 1/C, page 395 of the English copy. Thank you. That's clause 226. Now we have consulted the Masonic Benevolence Fund Incorporation Ordinance, the fund. Now page 383 of the Chinese version and page 398 of the English version. Now we are adding the Chinese reference of the bank. Then the Public Trustee Act 1906 and the Trustee Act 1893, these are laws in the UK. So they would be replaced with the Trustee Ordinance Cap 21. That concludes my explanation. Ms. Lee? Now, just now we have completed Part 63. Finally, we will invite Mr. Henry Yim to walk us through Part 65 of the bill, Cap 1055. Page 385 of the Chinese version and page 400 of the English version. Now we have consulted the Zetland Hall trustees before making the amendments. Now, clause 228, page 401 of the English markup copy. There is a reference of the government of any part of the Commonwealth. We will replace it with the government of any place outside Hong Kong. That's the first amendment. Another one is the last one, clause 229. Page 388 of the Chinese version and page 403 of the English markup copy. According to the Zetland Hall, they would like to add the 9 chapters of the organization. Thank you. So this Bills Committee has completed clause-by-clause scrutiny of the bill. Legal advisor is the drafting of the Chinese and English text of the bill proper. Thank you, Chair. Besides the letter we have sent to the administration, we have found no irregularities in terms of law and drafting. Now, Professor Leung's written inquiry and also proposed amendments. We have not received a reply from the administration on that yet. So any reply concerning that inquiry, PAS, Mr. Wesley Wong. Now we will deal with that proposed amendment and also the enactment date of the bill in due course. When? We will be swift. Will the next meeting be held next week? Now we think we can have a reply by next week. Actually, we have completed the clause-by-clause process and we are just waiting for the written reply from the administration. So after receiving the government's reply, Should we just circulate the reply among ourselves? And if anyone thinks that we need another meeting, I will convene one. Only then. Is that agreed? Professor Leung?
Chair, I think the administration may introduce committee stage amendments. Can they provide us with at least a draft for reference for our discussions? And I think we may need to discuss these in person. I do not object to your approach of circulating the papers. So I think we will go beyond just having them provide us with a response. I was talking about whether we should convene another meeting, and I think members agree that we can look at the proposed amendments by circulation as well as the responses to be provided by the administration. We may hold another meeting if necessary. If members and the administration have any amendments to propose, please submit them to the Secretariat by 13th of June. But of course, it may be dependent on when the government will provide us with the written responses. I ask the administration, therefore, to provide a written response as soon as possible. We will. Thank you. All right. So, depending on the situation, we will see if another meeting has to be convened. If there is no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.